What?
What?
What the hell is this?
Harumph. I didn't get a harumph out of that guy.
Give the governor harumph.
Harumph. You watch your ass.
I see you shiver with anticipation.
Let the show begin.
Hey everybody, this is David Heretic coming at you with another edition of Reactions, Reviews, and Rants. And tonight, okay, making their debut on the channel tonight, we have Lost Horizon. Yes, indeed. How about that? Lost Horizon making their debut on the channel. Before we go any further, for those of you who are feeling inclined to doing all of the clicks and the likes and the bibbidi-boobidi-bop, do me a favor, before you do all that stuff, please watch the whole video first, okay? Give me a chance to actually earn those clicks and likes. Now, after the video's done, if you still feel like doing all those clicks and likes, then by all means, feel free to click away. This comes as a request from Al Aoki, and this is actually Al's prioritized request for the month of July for being a silver tier member on the Patreon page. So here you go, Al. Hope you enjoy the show. Al wanted to see me react to this. It is Lost Horizon with a tune called Cry of a Restless Soul. Now, have I heard this song before? No, I have not. To the best of my knowledge, this does not resonate with me in any way, shape, or form. However, there's always a possibility I may have heard this song in passing and I just don't realize it. So as always, if I start listening to the song and I suddenly go, wait a second, I've heard this song before, I'll let you know.
That's the truth.
You know me, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Let's see, this was posted by Lost Horizon Topic, okay? And the video has 269,000 views. It'll get you there. Other than that, there's really nothing else left to say. Link to the original video will be down below in the video description for your viewing pleasure at your leisure. Let's get started. What do you say? Are you ready? Are you ready? Because here we go. All right, here we go. Cry of a Restless Soul. That's all I got. I think it says Lost Horizon up here. Look, this is the link I was given. All right, so if we're not in the right place for some reason, don't blame me. Blame Al. He's the one who gave me this link. All right, let's do this.
All right, boy, let's do this.
Earth, seas and flames. Here I am standing, bare in my honesty, calm in the moonshine. Starlight rests my eyes. Pain wakes me conscious. Truth guides my mind.
So let me get this straight. You got this. You got this feel, this sextuplet, pattern going on behind this driving. 1, 2, 3, 4. You start out that way, and then you go into this dead space.
Beats the hell out of me.
That doesn't make any. Why would you do that? It should be switched. Like if they did this part.
In the moonshine, starlight rests my eyes.
That should be your start. That should be your intro. And from that, go into... That would make way more sense, wouldn't it? Right?
We're so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
Start softer, start slower, start a little more empty, a little more melancholy, and then explode into that section. Instead, you're going to have this anticlimaticism of you have this great driving sextuplet feel, and then you're going to go into this doldrums. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you do that? Within the... Now, okay, If it had been, okay, first of all, how long is this song? It's 8 minutes. Okay. If we had been chugging along with that, sexed up and feel for like, let's say, minute and a half to 2 minutes, okay? Actually, I'm leaning more toward 2. Let's say 2 to 2.5 minutes, you're chugging along with that sexed up and feel. And then you go into this melancholy section. That would make more sense because you would have had this time to drive and drive and drive and drive and drive. Okay, time to switch things up. I'm sorry, but 20 to 25 seconds into the song is not the time to switch things up within the span of an 8-minute long song. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Dude, I don't get it. I don't get it either.
It's very anticlimactic. You really are taking the wind completely out of the sails. I'm sorry, but it is. It's a little depressing, if you ask me. I'm not a fan at all. It does not make sense. I was at what, 43 seconds? Yeah, that's fine. 41. All right, let's get back into this. Let's see if they can, I don't know, salvage this.
Pain wakes me conscious. Truth guides my mind.
Not only is it anticlimactic, it's pointless, because now we're going into this. It sounds good. Little cheese, but it sounds good. There's a lot of things happening here that I'm really digging. The subdivision work, the 16th notes at that tempo. Here's the tempo: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 8 notes: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And now double that, you have 16 notes. That's what they're doing. Holy cow! I mean, it's clean too. Tight, precise picking. Absolutely needed to pull that off, and they got it. They absolutely got it. Very nicely done with that. I love the subdivision work. I also like what's happening within the bass line. I hear the bass player, for the most part, covering root notes, and there's nothing wrong with that for this style of music, but every once in a while, he will move around a little bit, but when he does move around, he doesn't go up on the neck. All of his movement is at the highest. He goes about just an octave up from the root, just about halfway up the neck. 7th fret. He's doing a lot of that work. It does two things by doing that. One, it creates movement within the bass line, which is nice. From a counter melodic line, that's really nice to do. But he's not going up on the neck and leaving the bottom end to die. He's going up about midway, still kind of bottom end-ish, but very easy from there to move down to the bottom end. It doesn't leave the bottom end wanting. So that's very smart bass playing, very tasteful bass playing, which I always can appreciate. The drumming on this, like I said, right up there with the guitar picking, very clean. Absolutely clean. The vocal work, okay. Can we be honest here? Can we be 100% honest here? It's a little cheese. It is, okay, absolutely it is. There's absolutely no denying it. But for this style of music, it works. It absolutely works. It fits like a glove. He's doing it well. You got to give credit where credit's due. It's cheese, yes, but he's doing it very well. It's not cracking. It's not choking. He's hitting the notes. He's got the vibrato. The vibrato's a little big. Let's be honest here, but it's being done cleanly. So you got to give credit where credit's due. What I'm really appreciating about the vocal work more than anything, it's not what's being done, it's what's not being done. They are not overdoing the vocal harmonies. They're putting the vocal harmonies in very specific, strategic areas. Just, this line here and this line here, and that's it. How easy would it be to put harmonies on that entire chorus? It'd be very easy to do it. At that point, would it be overdone? Absolutely. It would be mind-numbing at that point. And also at that point, honestly, it would become a joke. So having the sparse, strategic use of harmonies, I like it. I absolutely like it. It makes you want more. And there's a saying in show business, always leave your crowd wanting more. And I do want a little bit more, which means that they're doing their job. I don't want an entire chorus of pure harmonies. Like I said, at that point, it becomes laughable. But, I wouldn't mind, an extra line or two of harmonies between the pre-chorus and the chorus. I wouldn't mind that. No, I mean, believe it or not, I'm enjoying this. And like I said, there's a little bit of a cheese factor. Yes, just a little, but it fits. It makes sense. So, it's working. It's absolutely working. Let's keep going here. Listen to that next deal. I wonder if they actually switched to 6A. I think they did. I think they switched to 6A. What do you know? I know they're going to switch back to 4.1, though. I didn't know it. Back to 4.1. Right there, and that's it. That's all there was for the harmony. Nice job. That's the top one. Okay, there's the harmony.
Let
have time to into another song. Swelling of these wind sound effects makes me wonder. Oh wait, oh they're fading now. So we're not going into the next song. That was, the ending was a little bit of a letdown. They could have had a much more prominent, a much more poignant ending, a much stronger ending. The linear fade out thing. I've never. I mean, there are some times where it's kind of needed to do a linear fade out. I don't think so with this song. This song could have had a much, much stronger ending, and it would have been more effective. I mean, 8:22. 8 minutes and 22 seconds. Let me get my thoughts together. I gotta think about this one a little bit. Let me get my thoughts together. I'll see you in the review and we'll talk about it. Well, there you go, folks. That was Lost Horizon with Cry of a Restless Soul. This was a request from Al Aoki, and this was actually Al's prioritized request for the month of July for being a silver tier member on the Patreon page. So there you go, Al. Hope you enjoyed the show. I did think about this. It did take me a little bit to think about, but the score came to me pretty quickly after I gave it some thought. Like, I didn't have to think about the score. I was just thinking about how I was going to come up with a score. But once I put all the pieces into place, the score came very quickly, which usually 9 times out of 10 means it was meant to be. So let's get to it, shall we? On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give that an 8.5. Yep, 8.5. I feel good about that score. Let me tell you why.
Why?
Okay, first things first, an 8.5. What does that mean? Well, an 8.5 would translate to a great skill rating. So overall, I think this was a great song. It would also give 4 to 5 stars and an A- letter grade. So there you go, an 8.5, great skill rating, 4 to 5 stars, and an A- letter grade. Now, how did I come up with that score? Ha ha! So glad you asked. Oh boy. Okay, I'm going to start in a weird place. The length of the song. Now, if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you know how I feel about long songs. If the song is like over 6 minutes long, and it's well written, well constructed, well theorized, if it's well thought out, if it's well executed, it's creative, it keeps me engaged, it's clean, it sounds good, I'm having a good time with it, it has nothing to worry about. As a matter of fact, 9 times out of 10, I will usually bump it up, an extra 1/10 of a point, just because it was able to keep me entertained and engaged for over 6 minutes, which, for most human beings, that's not easy to do. On the flip side, if it's not well written, if it's not well constructed, if it's not well thought out, if it's not well executed, if it's boring, if it's repetitive, if it's absolute nonsense, then I will absolutely tear it to shreds. And I have absolutely no qualms about doing it. I've done it before, and I have no problems about doing it again. In this case, it did the first. It definitely kept me engaged. It definitely kept me entertained. I had a good time listening to it. There were a lot of things happening within the song that kept me engaged, kept my attention, kept me interested more than anything else. I didn't nod off. I didn't fall asleep. I couldn't. When they would change frequently enough that it did keep me guessing, but at the same time, whenever they would change, they would stay on that change long enough, more than long enough, to give me a chance to get into the groove, get into the feel, and enjoy that particular section of the song. I appreciate that. I do. I can't stand it when bands change every 2 measures, or at a tempo like this, every 4 measures. And just as you're about to get into the groove, whoop, we're making another change. Wait a minute, now where are we? We just changed again. When it's like that, it's very jarring. It's very disorienting, and I do not like it when songs do that. They're missing the point. They're putting all their emphasis on how impressive they can make their songwriting and how well they show off their theory. And I'm sorry, but I'll take groove any day. And I'm sure most people feel the same way. This definitely is a good example of that. They were changing frequently enough that I never got bored, but at the same time, not so frequently that I was getting disoriented or confused or frustrated. So I was really happy about that. 8 minutes and 22 seconds. If I'm being honest, it felt like 8 minutes and 22 seconds. It felt like about 8.5 minutes. Now, is that a bad thing? No, it's not. Here's the thing. If I have to choose between a song feeling like it's dragging and it's just dragging on and on and on, or I pick a song that, feels like it is what it is. If it's an 8-minute song, it feels like an 8-minute song. I would rather have an 8-minute song that feels like an 8-minute song than have an 8-minute song that feels like an 11-minute song or a 12-minute song. It just drags on and on and on. I would rather have the first. I really would. Now, obviously, I would love it when songs are 8 minutes long and it feels like 6, That means the time is flying. That means you're really into it. You're really enjoying yourself. Wasn't the case here, but like I said, look, if you're hitting for par, nothing wrong with that. That's a good golf score. If you can play 18 holes and hit for par on every single hole, I don't see a problem with that. I really don't. So I mean, like I said, 8 minutes, 22 seconds. Yeah, it feels accurate, which is good. It means it didn't drag. The technicality standpoint, or side of the song, the songwriting, very well done. I talked about, how they were able to change up the feel quite a bit, and they did some really nice ways. That straight time, switching to that 6/8, didn't see that coming, and it pulled it off well. It felt very clean, and then what I loved about that is they only did it once. They did it one time, and that was it. And then it left you wondering, are they going to do it again? Giving you that sense of anticipation, wondering, hoping that they do it again. They didn't. I do feel a little cheated, but it's not in a bad way. Not in a bad way at all, because everything else they did, switching to a halftime feel, back to straight time feel, and then actually switching to half time. That was cool. That was very cool. I was sitting here wondering, I'm like, is it halftime feel or is it actually halftime? And I'm like, no, that's really halftime. Listen to the snare. There it is. Okay, cool. It was very creative. They were thinking outside the box a little bit, which I'm always a big fan of. Musicianship wise, I already talked at length about the guitar playing and the picking. I love it. The subdivision work from everybody involved, guitar, bass, and drums, was really tight. And I'm sorry, but I got to give a special shout out to the guitar players again for their picking work. I mean, at that speed, at that tempo, that 16th note pattern, that is not easy. And then when they did the sextuplets as well, that's even tougher. So good on them. Definitely good on them. Drumming sounded really nice. It was a great job on the drums. The bass playing, like I talked about earlier, I talked about at length. I love what the bass player was doing, primarily sticking around the root notes, but every once in a while there would be a little movement for a counter melodic line. But what I loved about his counter melodic lines, he didn't go up on the neck. He stayed around 7th fret, about the middle of the bass, just going up an octave from where the root note is. And I appreciate that. I do. I like it when bass players do that. I got nothing wrong. I got no issue. I got no problem with bass players going up high in the neck. It's fine. I do it myself. But what I don't like is when bass players overstay their welcome up high on the neck and the bottom end just completely disappears and dies. At that point, the song suffers. Yeah, the bass player's showing off his chops. Hey, that's wonderful. That's great. But as a result, the song suffers. And that's never a good thing. What's more important, showing off the bass player's chops or having a good full sound through the song? I'm sorry, but I'm going to pick the second option every single day of the week, twice on Sunday. So I appreciate what the bass player did. Vocally, like I said, there's some cheese, okay? There's some absolute cheese factor. You cannot deny it, okay? But at the same time, for this style of song, what he sang, it was appropriate. And not only was it appropriate, but how he sang it was excellent. I mean, he was hitting the notes, no questions asked, getting up there in the range, hitting the notes cleanly. Vibrato was a little overkill in spots, definitely. It got a little big. But, you know, like I said, for this style of song, it works. It does work. And you got to give credit for the technique that was being demonstrated and for the range that was being demonstrated. It did get a little nasally at times. I think that's just how he sounds. So no harm there. But I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, what he's saying fit the song like a glove. So, like I said, a little bit of a cheese factor, yes, but it fits the motif. So no issues there. No, overall, gotta say, it's a great song. It really is. Would I ever listen to this again? Yeah, I would listen to it again in passing. Sure. Would I ever put on a playlist? Ugh. That's a great question. I didn't even think about that. Would I put this on a playlist? I want to say yes. I want to say I would put it on my long drive playlist, but if I'm being honest, probably not. It's a great song, yes, but did it really, strike home with me as far as I gotta listen to this again? I'm not feeling that compulsion. I'm just not. But if this came on, like if I was listening to radio or I was listening to streaming music and this came on, I wouldn't be mad at it and I would absolutely listen to it without complaint. I don't see myself going and searching for it. So then again, I have my days where I'm really in the mood to listen to something like this, and maybe I will. Maybe I will come and listen to it again on my own volition. So, but anyway, 8.5. It's a great score for what I feel is a great song. I feel good about that score, and that's where we're going to stay. So let's wrap everything up here in a nice shiny bow, shall we? We have an 8.5, which is a great scale rating, 4 to 5 stars, and an A- letter grade. Take your pick. I don't care. Whichever one of those floats your boat. Final word, final score, I have spoken. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Reactions, Reviews, and Rants. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Hope I was able to entertain you. If I was able to put a smile on your face and brighten your day, I did my job, and I'm so glad I could do it. If you guys feel like joining the fan base, go ahead and click on that button down there. If you guys want to like the video, go ahead and like the video. If you guys want to ring the bell, go ahead and ring the bell. It honestly doesn't make any difference at all to me, but if you guys feel like doing these things, well then by all means, feel free to do so. Well, that's going to do it for the night, folks. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, this is David Heretic signing off, reminding you to stay fabulous and support each other. Later. Peace.